This is the U.S. intelligence agency, mind control.
But no question that Lincoln was anti-slavery.
Okay, I guess I was going to say I was going to ask you what you believe the most common misconceived notion of the Civil War was, but I think that we've addressed it in full. It seems to be that a lot of people don't think it was actually about slavery. And of course, we have more segments. You can just hit subscribe or notifications on YouTube. Let us know.
We will not. But that was surprisingly fine. Now,
of this belief, how this belief gained prominence.
Hell yeah.
And what happened as a result.
Now, this one could be boring. I have two. They're both history channels. One is 20 minutes, one is 50 minutes.
This belief. So without further ado, let's begin. So manifest.
A snowmobiler, hang on. A snowmobiler who crashed
God's
into
given
Bart's
destiny.
Blackhawk helicopter awarded $3 million. Oh, the Blackhawk was
States settled.
parked on the snowmobile trail.
Oh, no shit.
To expand and move across North America, spreading their institutions and
Oh my
traditions
god.
across the
Vape to
continent.
Earn crypto project. Puffpaw raises $6 million for blockchain vapes.
Okay. This seems like it's going to put me to sleep. So let's go to the next one. Where are they?
Welcome, students and teachers. This is another episode of Lessons in Humanities.
I don't need the intro.
War. Let's see how I got there. First of all, this is a quote. Okay, so this is a quote from
Mr. Beat have
a
a
man
video?
named John.
What?
So doesn't Mr. Beat have a video?
I don't know. I'm just trying to get different content. Different things.
L. O'Sullivan, and he was a columnist and an editor, and he's the one who famously coined Manifest Destiny.
Okay, this is just a quote from some dude. What is it?
So Manifest Destiny. So
are these literally just lectures? These must be just lectures.
Mm-hmm.
I'm losing my mind. Fuck. All right, hold on. Wait, no. I don't want that one. Let's go gray zone.
I got one for you.
Mm-hmm. What is this? Copy link. Have we not done this before?
I don't know.
Because there's plenty of short videos, right? I wanted a longer one because I wanted something a bit more with a bit more conjecture and a bit more thing. Yeah. I mean, fuck. We could literally do the History Channel.
No, they'll definitely claim.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Viacom.
Annoying. How Manifest Destiny remove native. Sure. Okay. The Indian problem. Smithsonian? Would the Smithsonian claim?
No.
Brilliant. Let's do this one. Let's see what this is.
By the early 19th century, the U.S. was rapidly growing, both in size and power. Land-hungry and ambitious, the new country was also drastically changing its policies towards the Indian nations. And nowhere was this more evident than in the treaties.
The United States' primary interest in treaty making was to acquire Indian land. And so the treaties were used for that purpose, especially as the United States found itself in a position to...
What?
He was Pawnee.
Pretty much dictate the terms of the treaty. And so the treaties morphed from this friendship and reciprocity sort of relationship into a very one-sided thing.
There's almost a mythology about this, that somehow when the Pilgrims arrived, they were dragging land behind them.
Muskogee?
There was no land brought.
Cheyenne and
Yeah,
The
so
Dolgi
that's where Cop
Muskogee?
City's being built, is on their land.
No shit.
Here, the land here was Native nations. And this is what the United States needed. It's what it wanted. They wanted all of it. They wanted everything.
The greed came in. Well, we have a little tract here now. Now we need a little more.
Yeah, this
And, well, we need to go
Muskogee Creek.
make another treaty. We didn't understand that eventually those.
Well, that was where they started westward expansion, no? Like they started out
It's
from there, like
Muskogee
Louisiana,
Creek, they're,
sort of.
they're one of Muskogee Creek are one of the Trail of Tears
Yeah. Okay.
places.
Cool. Party switch video. Let's do that as well.
Those treaty making processes ended up to the acquisition of all of our ancestral homeland.
That works. I mean, the general
But
topic
I
is
don't
like
think
American
Stephen Crowder
Republic.
understood what that historian said.
No, I don't. I think you are 100% correct. I don't think he actually absorbed anything that he was saying.
So what he said is not that there was a switch, as in people who were Democrat became Republicans.
Mm.
Right? He said that. So like that doesn't mean that there. But he said it's still the party of Lincoln, but Republicans don't know what Lincoln was about. Right?
Yes. I mean,
So they
you
may
could
claim
argue
to
that.
be the party of Lincoln, but they're completely detached from it because the party switch happened. It just didn't happen by people saying one day they were Democrat and the next day they're Republican.
Yeah, it was a multiple decade-long switch that resulted in more racism. But Republicans now.
That land was a part of us. That land helped us be. That land was who we were and who we are.
The command of removal came unexpectedly upon most of us. There was a time that we noticed several overloaded wagons were passing our home, yet we did not grasp the meaning. Then one day, wagons stopped. We were to be taken away and leave our homes, never to return.
To get what they wanted, U.S. officials brokered treaties through any means available. Their tactics were so corrupt that the once trusted treaties became quickly known as bad paper.
There were people at these treaty negotiations who would do anything to get an agreement on the table. And so there was very routinely bribery, individual payments made to tribal leaders. Alcohol would be used to put people in an agreeable frame of mind, and even coercion to say to people, you must sign this agreement or else.
Every means of trickery and fraud was employed against Native nations. The United States would appoint a false leadership, people who had no right to speak for the tribe, and say, you're the leader of this tribe, sign this paper giving away all your land.
As the century progressed, treaties became more.
Yes.
That's what it's about. That's the federally administered tribal agents.
Mm.
It's a
and more
British
lopsided,
strategy.
a far cry from the parallel paths of the Goswenta. Despite appeals from the Indian nations, the U.S. kept on its
You guys jealous I have a pancake?
new trajectory, rationalizing its aggressive actions along the way.
They have neither the intelligence, the industry, the moral habits, nor the desire of improvement. The tribes of Indians inhabiting this country were fierce savages. To leave them in possession of their country was to leave the country a wilderness.
Wow.
It's important in the great American mythology to describe the Americas as wilderness, because if it's wilderness, then there's really nobody to dispossess. It was.
So this is something that that rock guy that I've been watching his videos and shit was saying on a podcast about conspiracy theories and shit, right? Is that it's inherently a white supremacist thing, like conspiracy and pseudo archaeology and shit, because it's literally based out of the Nazis, and you have to have an inherent belief that non-white people are uncivilized and unable to create these things in order to believe this master lost race exists, right? That you have to fundamentally believe that not white people have no ability to construct and have no ability to evolve like white people. It's fucking crazy.
Knowing better made this point is that the Seventh-day Adventists and these people, they're like end time philosophy people. So they're trained to like look in scripture to find the code and stuff. So they're already primed for conspiracy thinking.
Yeah. Very interesting. It's very, very interesting. He saw my I posted a story. I retweeted one of his Instagram things and he saw it. I sent a fucking message to him, but he hasn't looked at it.
Who?
Rock guy.
Milo?
And I sent him an email. I feel like he's a type of person to respond to an email.
It was okay to come here and prosper and conveniently forget that there were already people and civilizations in place.
At first we had something to eat, but that gave out and we were starving. We came to a slippery elm tree and ate the bark of that. Lots took sick and died.
Well, what's like, because like the noble savage thing, right? Like Jefferson, I believe, he says that the natives were equal to the white man, but they're culturally inferior.
Yeah,
which was a pretty progressive thing at the time to say.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, let's not genocide them physically. Let's culturally genocide them.
Yes, exactly.
Progressive.
Exactly. So that was his idea. That was his thing. Is just like as long as they were made Protestant.
Yeah. Christian imperialism.
That reminds me. Oh my god. I did put it on the list. There's a fucking crazy Protestant video.
Awesome.
They successfully pushed them down to the frontier. They not only believed that they were destined to take over the land and prosper, they believed that God was the one who put them there to do it.
They believed that it was God's will, that the United States should be a continental nation stretching from the Atlantic to the Pacific. As each wave of immigration would come, they'd move into an area. The United States would then make some sort of...
Eric Adams' press conference and the guy on the megaphone yelling at him.
Wait, what? I was reading the comment here. What?
Eric Adams' press conference.
Ah, yeah. What about it?
There's a guy on a megaphone yelling at him. That's mad funny.
Oh, that is pretty funny.
Also, Luna Oi made another video.
Yep, you put it on the list. It is on the list.
Okay, so this is the one. This one right here from Sam Cedar, the Nightmare Blunt rotation. Wild Protestant shit said in this one.
That guy, which guy? That guy found Milo. Antarctic conspiracy theories. Wait, seriously? That's hilarious. That's fucking hilarious. That does not surprise me whatsoever. The Antarctic conspiracy theories are some of my favorite. That's where the entrance to Agatha is. That's where the Nazis went. That's where aliens came from. It's fucking great. The Hollow Earth is probably the best conspiracy theory out there.
Sort of arrangement with the tribe to get that land from them. And then more would come and they'd advance the frontier even further.
The power of manifest destiny.
I've been watching his Ancient Apocalypse series because I think it's funny that he's basically dissecting a dude who has been making shitty counterfactual shit for a long time. I love the History Channel. The History Channel is dog shit. The History Channel, I don't think, has a single bit of actual history on it.
Not anymore.
Of expansion, of inevitability, of God's providence, helped to rally people around not only the idea of Americans as entitled to North America, but rallied them around the idea that Indian people were barriers to civilization and barriers to progress.
No matter how many treaties were signed...
Imagine how much cooler America would be if they had integrated with the Native American cultures. and adopted it instead of just stealing the political structure and then kicking them to the wayside. Imagine if they actually had them participate, had them help, actually offered some kind of joint custody over the land, even leave them in custody of the land.
South American are integrated.
The
culture was still erased.
Yeah, like New Zealand is a good example of more what I'm talking about, right? Because New Zealand's English incorporates native language, right? Like you'll hear Kiwis talk all the time, and they'll just chuck in Maori words, and it's great. It's such a unique thing that I'm not sure where it would be replicated, if at all.
No matter how much land they gave to the United States, the Indian was still in the way. This was known as the Indian problem. The so-called problem continued despite a decades-old policy to force Indians to swap their land east of the Mississippi for land west of it. The Indians would then move to those western parts and away from the Americans. This plan was simply called removal.
The Removal Act was the centerpiece of Andrew Jackson's political agenda, and it was very controversial at the time. It was very widely debated. There was lots of discussion across the country, and very many prominent people spoke up against it.
To be clear about all the genocide that happens, while it's happening, there are people against it every single step of the way. They just weren't strong enough to actually rise up and actually make change and do something about it.
Yeah. Which really amplifies exactly what people are saying these days is you need to
when we talk about appeasement with Nazis and stuff, like imagine if Marxist-Leninists actually studied the history and understood it, how much better their arguments would be about some stuff like this.
It would be so much better.
Will the American government steal? Will it lie? Will it kill?
Is that Ralph Waldo? Ralph Waldo Pickle Chips?
Davy Crockett.
Ralph Waldo Pickle Chips?
Emerson, yeah. I thought the same thing. Honestly, that fade between faces, pretty cool.
Will it lie? Will it kill? I have no desire to see the poor remnants of a once powerful people.
And that's another thing. Why I have no time for white guilt. Because at the very least, even though at the end of the day they ended up negotiating with fascists and appeasing fascists, people hated Jackson. People did try to kill Jackson a few times. There was people who were doing the right thing. It wasn't all evil.
Yeah. It's the state that's evil, as per usual.
Well, even then, there were still states inside the United States that were doing the right thing and standing up for these people.
Yeah.
There isn't like the
fucking Protestants decided to just do it.
I mean, Jackson is uniquely evil as well.
Yeah.
Presents oppression with a vengeance.
The removal process, it was, all right, you've made these treaties. Now, you can have one of two things. You can keep your sovereignty, but you can't keep your land. If you keep your land, then you have to assimilate and no longer be Indian. You will have sovereignty or you have your land. You can't have both.
Across the United States, the Removal Act divided the country. But across the Indian nations, reaction was unanimous.
We are surrounded by white people, and there are encroachments made. What assurances have we that similar ones will not be made on us should we remove to the Mississippi?
And they did. They were right.
Look here, Father. Our land.
What do you mean?
They fucked him over again.
Oh yeah, like they never
violated
stopped.
The treaties multiple times.
Yeah, and then what? Like, I'm surprised more native uprisings didn't happen. I'm surprised they didn't go around slaughtering them en masse on site.
I mean, they did sometimes.
Some of them, yeah.
Lands belong to us. We shall keep them. We do not wish to talk to you anymore.
We had already been fighting to keep that land. And sure enough, when the government was coming in there to take us out of that land, we fought even more.
Oh, look.
But at some point...
Is that America wearing a uniform that looks like redcoats? Doing redcoat shit? Cool.
To realize that this fighting is all going to be about death. And death is coming. then I need to be protecting my family, and I want my children to survive. So we have to endure this removal.
W's.
Isn't that rough?
Many of the tribes did choose to
They
accept.
agreed to the removal knowing that it was the only way to save their people.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's exactly the same. It's a recurring issue with indigenous people. It's there. I feel like in a situation like this, they're very aware that refusal would result in genocide. And that's very much, I feel like the vibe of the colonial powers is probably very much that, is that refuse
She
and
saw
die.
the message, she just didn't respond, which I'm going to assume is she's busy, so.
Yeah.
Accept removal as a means of maintaining the tribal nation. What choice was there? After decades of engagement, they could no longer resist.
Why? On my actual account.
Decades of engagement, they could no longer resist. And so they gave up their lands, they gave up their homes, they gave up their fields and forests, they gave up literally their way of life in order to be able to stay together and be what they were.
We are poor, but we are free. No white man controls our footsteps.
Some try to assimilate to avoid removal. Some were removed completely. But in the end, every nation met the same fate. Every nation had to give up land.
Brothers, you cannot remain where you are now. You have but one remedy within your reach, and that is to remove to the west. May the Great Spirit teach you how to choose.
The loss of land was devastating, and so was the loss of lives. The most famous of these incidents was the Cherokee.
The president saying, go kill Native Americans, is basically what that was. This is nuts.
Nation's Trail of Tears. But there were numerous other trails just as violent and just as crushing.
Everyone had to walk. My baby brother Joel was 4 years old. I was just 8, but I took my turn at carrying him because he could not walk much. I would get so tired I'd think I was going to die, but I would hang on to him. I was so afraid they would kill him. I saw them kill babies who were too big to be carried and would give out.
That really was a road of death. People were falling on the side of the road or being shot or being murdered on the road and being left there. The removal process was done in a way that was not efficient in making people survive.
Of the millions of Indian people that lived before the first colonists arrived, by the end of the 19th century, only 250,000 remained.
The removal of a tribe was certain to destroy all of the things they knew about taking care of themselves, all of their medicines, all of their foods. Everything about them had to change in order to survive. It can only be understood as an act of destruction.
When you move a people from one place to another, when you displace people, when you wrench people from their homelands, wasn't that genocide?
Yes.
We don't make the case that there was genocide.
Yeah, I saw.
Literally one of the worst genocides in history.
Yeah. No, I saw. We've covered the Iroquois a lot.
Oh, Iroquois videos?
Yeah. We've covered them a lot.
I should bring on some Iroquois to talk.
Yes, actually, that would be cool if we could actually do an interview with someone from the Iroquois. That'd be cool. I have a lot of questions. Yeah, could you find where it actually is in those videos? Because his videos on Philip Zebra are like 2 hours long.
We know there was. Yet here we are.
When we were forced to leave our land, we took the fires with us. We took the embers along. Then when we got to Oklahoma, we rekindled the old fire. Old home or new home, it is the same fire.
Well, see, the other thing as well, removing these tribes from their fucking lands completely fucks their entire society because they're so used to hunting on the lands that they're used to. They would have to literally relearn the lands to survive.
And then they do it again.
Yeah. What the fuck? Jesus fucking Christ. Oh, man.
Okay, Polk mean to you? Probably not much, if anything at all, and that's a shame, especially considering all he accomplished in just 4 years, from 1845 to 1849.
This doesn't sound good.
He started the Mexican-American War. He's not a good person.
Yeah, that seems strange.
Territory from the British?
To be fair, I did watch this video, Fudge, while I was at the gym. I think this was the video I was watching where I think one or two people literally were like, what the fuck are you watching? One, because nobody watches shit at the gym. Two, because it's talking about like flat earth and shit, bringing up pictures and sources. So they're like looking at this at the screen and it's like flat earth, Antarctic fucking walls and shit. It's very funny.
Carried out the annexation of Texas, and then waged a successful war with Mexico that ended with the U.S. acquiring California and the Utah and New Mexico territories.
It's not a W.
So he increased the nation's size by a third, transforming America into a truly continental nation from sea to shining sea.
Notice how most of those areas he took are still culturally different than the rest of the United States.
Mm. Which ones were they? Sorry, I was setting up
just all the Southwest. It's culturally unique.
Yes. Yeah.
Like and also there's a lot of Latin Americans too, still to this day.
Would you say that's from Texas to California?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, everything basically everything he listed, everything that we got from Mexico in the war.
Yeah, okay. Because like even Louisiana, I would say, is independent in culture from even Alabama and Mississippi further on.
Well, Louisiana was French.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah. So Louisiana has that unique culture,
Yes.
and then from Texas over, it's very Mexican. But there's also like the Alamo and shit in Texas, which is like historical for them. I don't know the story behind that.
It's the Mexican-American War.
It is that, okay.
United States. We have Polk to thank for much of it. You'd think he'd have his own monument in Washington, D.C.
He doesn't deserve it.
And that's not all he did as president.
Hot take, none
Nobody
of them do.
wanted this war to happen. They literally instigated this war with Mexico. Like, what are you doing, PragerU? None of this is a fucking W.
Reduced taxes, stimulated the economy, and reformed the government's banking practices. Plus, the California gold rush of 1848 made his acquisition of the Golden State look like a stroke of genius.
No,
Born
buddy,
on November 2nd.
The only reason banking was fixed under him is because Jackson destroyed the banks. Jackson had some of the worst economic policies.
In 1795, young James grew up marinating in the politics of his father.
Wait, this is one of the dudes who fed the Civil War, was it not?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cool. One of the ineffectual presidents before the Civil War.
He's one of the filibusters, one of the big proponents of Manifest Destiny.
Awesome. So this guy is just a pure fuckwit, and PragerU's just like, this guy's great.
Yeah.
Cool.
Samuel Polk, a Tennessee county judge and a devoted follower of Thomas Jefferson. Samuel saw the world as a struggle between the virtuous farmer and the crafty banker.
Jackson started the trend
city
of us being
versus the
perpetually
country.
in debt. True.
The common man versus the wealthy elite. His son James never strayed far from this worldview. After graduating with honors from the University of North Carolina in May 1818, Polk moved to Nashville. There, he established a law practice and, like so many ambitious young men of his day, used his legal career as a springboard into politics. He was elected to the Tennessee state legislature in 1823. There he came to the attention of General Andrew Jackson, the hero of the War of 1812.
What did I say?
The two men formed a father-son bond that became so
what
close
did I
that
say?
Polk earned the nickname Young Hickory to Jackson's Old Hickory. Polk got himself elected to the
None
U.S.
of this
Congress
is a
in
W.
1820.
No, this is
None
all
of
an
this is a W.
5, shortly after Jackson had lost to John Quincy Adams in one of the most controversial presidential elections in American history. Polk proved his loyalty to the general by becoming a persistent thorn in Adams' side. When Jackson came roaring back to win the presidency in 1828, Polk was right there with him as an advisor and confidant. As a Jackson insider, Polk rose quickly, becoming the chairman of the influential Ways and Means Committee, then Speaker of the House, then governor of Tennessee. It seemed that every political door was opening to him. Then suddenly it all went south.
Good.
Running for re-election as governor in 1841, Polk lost to an obscure, somewhat buffoonish Whig opponent, James Lean Jimmy Jones. Polk may have won on the issues, but his 6'2", 125-pound opponent won on crowd-pleasing humor. That was bad enough. But when Lean Jimmy beat Polk again in 1843, everyone assumed that Polk's once promising political career was over. Then 1 year later, in 1844, everything changed again. The reason was Texas. The new Republic of Texas had achieved its independence from Mexico in 1836 and had been seeking to become part of the United States ever since. Fearing a war with Mexico, Congress wavered on Texas annexation for almost a decade.
That's not what happened.
By 1844, however, American public opinion, bursting with expansionist fever, had undergone a massive shift.
They literally went to Mexico and said, "We'll give you $5 for this territory." and this is like literally right after Zapata, right?
Okay.
No, way before Zapata actually. But there's a Mexican like revolution. So like Zapata is like the third revolution, I believe, because that's in World War I when Zapata comes.
Yeah, 1910 was that.
And
yeah.
But there's like literally like a revolution had just happened, so it's like a brand new Mexican government, and then they go there and they're like, "Give us all this land," and they're like, no, and they're like, "Well, guess you left us no choice," and they invade them. They purposely lowballed them, knowing Mexico would say no, and then use that to instigate a war.
Yeah, pretty much the denazification of the 1800s is essentially what that was. Just an excuse
in favor of annexation. Both Martin Van Buren, the likely Democratic nominee, and Henry Clay, the likely Whig nominee, misread the national mood. They publicly stated that they would oppose the annexation of Texas.
Van Buren is a very interesting person. So, like, he was also in Jackson's cabinet, and he was trying to mitigate all of Jackson's terrible policies the whole time, or something like that. I've heard some different accounting of it, but he was like the Chris Christie, you know? So it's not like Chris Christie was cool or anything now, you know? But it's just interesting that, you know, he was kind of like in there being like, "Stop it. Don't do this, Jackson."
Yeah. This is funny. Hi, Janice. Welcome to the stream.
But this doomed their campaigns and cleared the way for a pro-annexation candidate. That candidate turned out to be Polk, who beat Van Buren for the Democratic nomination and then Clay for the presidency. At the age of 49, young Hickory became the youngest president the country had ever had. In the course of just a few months, he'd gone from the humiliation of defeat to the shining prize of the White House. His term of office will always be closely identified with the mid-19th century idea of manifest destiny, the belief that American democracy should extend from coast to coast, enveloping the entire continent.
That's not what manifest destiny was.
I'm going to look up what manifest destiny is in a actual text that I can read. What is the Khan Academy? The Khan Academy says manifest destiny was the idea that white Americans were divinely ordained to settle the entire continent of North America. The ideology of manifest destiny inspired a variety of measures designed to remove or destroy the native population. U.S. President James K. Polk is the leader most associated with Manifest Destiny. I disagree. I think that's Jackson. No.
No. Jackson is Trail of Tears.
Okay. I was getting confused with the genocides. In 1845, newspaper editor John O'Sullivan coined the term Manifest Destiny to describe the ideology of continental expansionism. Though the term was new, the ideas underlying it were much older, dating back to the first colonial contact between Europeans and Native Americans. The ideology that became known as Manifest Destiny included a belief that the inherent superiority of white Americans, as well as the conviction that they were destined by God to conquer the territories of North America from sea to shining sea. The ideology of Manifest Destiny justified extreme measures to clear the native population from the land, including forced removal and violent extermination. For proponents of Manifest Destiny, the American Indians were mere impediments to the forward march of racial and technological process, pursuing the policy of Indian removal. Polk also resolved the boundary dispute with Great Britain over the Oregon Territory, which had been jointly occupied since 1818. Polk's administration negotiated the Oregon Treaty of 1846 with Britain. I'm pretty sure that Oregon was made a white-only state at this point as well, I believe, if I am recalling correctly. So that's kind of cool. Here we go, the consequences. Polk's embrace of Manifest Destiny and the acquisition of new territories inflamed tensions between abolitionists and slaveholders and heightened conflict between white settlers and Native Americans, while the North and South fought over whether the new states admitted to the Union were to be free states or slave states. The battles between Plains Indians and settlers in Texas grew particularly vicious. And I think that's what we're at.
I don't think it's productive comparing Manifest Destiny to Zionism. There might have been inspirations from these things, but I think it's uniquely its own thing.
Also
because at the very least, there were already Jews in Palestine.
Mm-hmm.
There is no claim that these people had over these lands that they could possibly invoke. There's no argument to be made by anyone, whether that argument is right or wrong with Zionism. I think it's wrong, obviously.
I mean, it's no different to people being like, Manifest Destiny inspired the Nazis. It's the same logic.
And no, but that's why I think it's unproductive, because then they tie it to that Nazi policy.
Yeah, exactly. So don't.
But it's like the idea of genocide.
Compared.
The idea of genocide existed, through different societies as well. But I don't think there's like the Armenian genocide and the Rwanda genocide. Like, other than being genocide, where's the connection?
Yeah. Yeah, but Lebensraum being like basically the same thing is not the same thing. You know what I mean? Like
early Zionism is much, much different.
Yeah, and also this kind of leads me to what I was saying before about like the conspiracy theory stuff. It's like a lot of it, and he says this a lot in these videos, and he's kind of right, is a lot of stuff gets connected by people saying basically shit like this, which is like kind of looks the same, but it's not the same, right? Just because it looks the same doesn't mean there's a connection. There might be a vague connection, but like the ideas of this can form independently. Like, this is not something that has to be fostered by propaganda. Like this inherent, like, we are better than you is just an inherently human thing, I think. A tribal thing.
We were talking about how the Iroquois democracy is like one of the pins that brings us the current democracy, but at the same time, the American system it may have had some little sprinklings and inspiration from the society around them, but it has nothing to do with it at the end of the day. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, as long as you keep it to a comparison and not an implication like fucking Bad Empanada makes and all the fucking tankies make, that it's like, it is because of Manifest Destiny that the Nazis exist, right? That's a leap in logic that shouldn't be tolerated. So comparing them, sure. Comparing them in the way that you would... actually, I'm going to use...
comparing it in a way that you would compare Trump to Hitler. Trump isn't literally reading Mein Kampf saying, these are great ideas.
Right, but I'll use...
that we know of.
Yeah, I'll use Ryan Chapman in his fascism video, right? He compares Italian fascism to German fascism, but doesn't necessarily call them the same thing, right? But the way that he compares them is not being like, hey, Italians did this, Germans did this, kind of the same. Italians did this, Germans did this. It was, this is what Italian fascism is, this is what German fascism was. Like, that is how you should compare something. A lot of people will compare it in a bad fashion, which implies connection. And that's the issue.
The lessons of Manifest Destiny and why it was bad is certainly something that should be applied to current Zionism.
I'm actually curious. Fucking sending coordinations and shit. What is happening? What is going on? This better be fucking funny.
How did they know the coordinates so quick too?
I don't fucking know. Actually, I'm gonna ask now before I open this because I'm gonna screen share it. Should I screen share it?
Always give him the credit he deserves. We tend to see Manifest Destiny in negative terms as a form of American imperialism, pure and simple. But Polk never saw it that way.
No shit.
Okay.
Wait, you mean to tell me that the guy who pioneered Manifest Destiny didn't see it in negative terms?
Was this a bridge? Dusseldorf? What's in here? What, a bridge? What's the bridge? What is this? Explain.
It's Cyber Goth Rave.
Oh my god.
It's the bridge where the Cyber Goth Rave is from. Underneath that bridge. You know that video.
The Cyber Goth Rave?
The video. You know the video.
That's the video.
The bridge.
Yeah, that's the video. Of course it's German.
Along with most Americans of his day, the very ones who swept him into office.
No way.
They
didn't think it was a bad thing at the time.
Freedom and prosperity across the continent to ever more people. Looking back,
it was about slavery.
Exactly what he did.
So it's slavery
This one?
and genocide.
This one, right? This is German. Wthis did I not know this? Why did I not know that this? Amazing.
Easy.
So this is the bridge. How do I get Street View? I want to see under the bridge.
We can't watch it. There's music.
I know. So this is it. I can't see. How do I can I put a person here? Son of a bitch. Motherfucker. You guys have trams too. That's funny. Looks very German. Why have you got big tower here?
That's Seattle.
Hold on. Wait. I got this. How do I get the fuck out of here? Here. I got this. I know how to Google Maps. So what, under there? Wouldn't have been there, right?
There's the staircase. Use the staircase to geolocate. Now go back to the video.
I'm trying to find the staircase. There's a spiral staircase here. Oh, that is the one. There we go. So there's the staircase. So it would have been down here then. They've put more grass in since last time, it seems. Maybe? No, it would have been right here. Wait, can I go down here? God damn it, Google. Why don't you go places where cars are not meant to go? Give us real street view. Okay, so basically, there's the spiral staircase up in the corner. They've added maybe grass, maybe I just can't see the other side.
No, it's just the perspective.
Yeah. Funny. That's very funny. That was very fucking funny. Yeah, in front of the pillar. Yeah, right in front of the pillar. That is amazing.
Are you aware of a CIA psychological profile about you, sir? Would you be interested in hearing what the CIA had to say? This secret study portrays as a brilliant but dangerous megalomaniac who is likely to pursue his own aims in disregard of U.S. interests. He's an uncertain ally. Shall I go on, or would you prefer that I stop, sir?